the storm that changed everything. The windshield wipers battled furiously against the torrential rain as Dominic Reed white-knuckled the steering wheel of his Aston Martin. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the rural road ahead for a brief, blinding moment. His phone buzzed incessantly on the passenger seat, likely James, his PR manager, calling about the mess he'd left behind in Manhattan. "Not now," Dominic muttered, silencing the device without looking. The headlines would be vicious tomorrow. Tech mogul storms out of investor meeting after fraud allegations. The accusations were false. Of course, orchestrated by his former partner Victor, but the damage was done. Another flash of lightning, another crack of thunder. The road curved sharply and Dominic turned the wheel too late. The car hydroplaned, spinning wildly before crashing through a guardrail and nosediving into a muddy embankment. The airbag deployed with a violent punch to his chest. When the world stopped spinning, Dominic sat dazed, tasting blood from where he'd bitten his lip. The engine made an ominous hissing sound, and rain poured in through the shattered side window. "Perfect," he groaned, reaching for his phone. Dead. Of course it was dead. Dominic kicked open the driver's door and stumbled out into the downpour. His tailored suit was instantly soaked, his Italian leather shoes sinking into mud. He squinted through the rain at a distant cluster of lights, some small town miles down the road. 20 miserable minutes later, a battered blue pickup truck slowed beside him. The window rolled down, revealing a woman with curious amber eyes and a skeptical expression. "Car trouble?" she asked, voice raised over the storm's fury. "You could say that," Dominic replied, rainwater streaming down his face. She studied him for a moment. His ruined suit, the cut on his forehead, the exhaustion in his eyes. "Hop in. I'm Sophia." The truck's cabin smelled of motor oil and cinnamon. Sophia Chen, as she introduced herself, was a mechanic who owned the only garage in Willowbrook, population 847. She didn't seem impressed by his drenched designer clothes or his clipped city accent. "We'll need to tow your car in the morning," she said, navigating the narrow country roads with practiced ease. "Storm's too bad now. You can stay at my place tonight. Spare room's small but dry." Dominic opened his mouth to object, to ask about hotels, but Sophia cut him off with a knowing glance. "Nearest hotel's 30 miles away. And trust me, nobody's delivering an Uber out here tonight." Her home was a modest 2-story farmhouse with warm yellow windows glowing against the stormy darkness. As they dashed from the truck to the porch, a young girl of about 8 appeared in the doorway, clutching a flashlight. "Mom, the power keeps flickering," she called out. "This is my daughter, Lily," Sophia explained, ushering Dominic inside. "Lily, this is Mr. Reed. His car went off the road. He'll be staying in Grandpa's room tonight." Lily regarded him with the same appraising look her mother had given him. "You're very tall," she decided finally, "and very wet." For the first time that day, Dominic smiled. Guilty on both counts. As Sophia found him dry clothes and showed him to a small, tidy room filled with books and model airplanes, Dominic realized he had stumbled into a world entirely different from the one he'd left behind in New York. Here, in this stranger's home in the middle of nowhere, with the storm raging outside, he felt something unexpected. Relief. Strangers in simple places. Dominic woke to unfamiliar sounds, birds chirping, a screen door squeaking, and the distant clang of metal on metal. The guest room was bathed in morning light, highlighting faded baseball pennants and bookshelves lined with engineering manuals. He checked his phone again, still dead, disconnecting him completely from his empire. Downstairs, he found Sophia at the kitchen table, studying what appeared to be his car's diagnostic report while sipping coffee. She wore faded jeans and a navy work shirt with Chen's Auto Repair embroidered over the pocket. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, revealing a small scar near her temple. "Morning, city boy," she said without looking up. "Coffee's fresh. Help yourself." "How bad is it?" Dominic asked, pouring himself a cup. Sophia finally met his eyes. "Bad enough. Your fancy car needs parts that'll take at least a week to arrive. Shipping to Willowbrook isn't exactly priority for most suppliers." "A week." Dominic ran a hand through his disheveled hair. A week away from the office, from damage control, from his life. "I've called Pete's bed and breakfast in town," Sophia continued. "They've got a room for you starting tonight." Lily bounded in, wearing a bright yellow raincoat and carrying a lunchbox shaped like a robot. "Mom, I'm gonna miss the bus!" "1 second, sweetie." Sophia grabbed a paper bag from the counter. "Lunch, and don't forget your science project is due Friday." After Lily dashed out, Sophia turned back to Dominic. "I need to open the shop." "You're welcome to hang around, or I can drop you in town." "I could use the walk," Dominic said, suddenly eager to clear his head. "And maybe point me towards somewhere that sells phone chargers?" Sophia laughed, the sound warm and genuine. "Miller's General Store. Tell Ruth I sent you." The walk into Willowbrook was like stepping into a different era. Main Street consisted of brick buildings with hand-painted signs. People nodded at him, a stranger, with casual friendliness. At Miller's, Ruth not only sold him a charger but insisted he'd take a muffin on the house. When his phone finally powered on, 47 missed calls and 112 emails awaited. Dominic stared at the screen, then switched it off again. They could wait one more day. By afternoon, he found himself at Chen's Auto Repair, watching Sophia work beneath the hood of his mangled luxury car. Her movements were precise, her focus absolute. "Hand me that socket wrench," she asked, not looking up. Dominic scanned the neatly arranged tools before selecting one. "That's a torque wrench," she said with a hint of amusement. "Socket wrench is the one with the ratcheting head." As he handed her the correct tool, their fingers brushed. Sophia pulled away first, returning her attention to the engine. "So what brings a billionaire to backroad driving in a storm?" she asked casually. Dominic stiffened. "You know who I am." "Looked you up this morning." Dominic Reed, founder of Horizon Tech, worth around $4 billion give or take. She shrugged. "Your face was all over the business news yesterday. And yet you let me sleep in your home." Sophia wiped her hands on a rag. "Rich or poor, everybody looks the same soaking wet in a ditch." Her amber eyes held his. "Besides, we help people around here. It's what we do." That evening, at Pete's quaint bed and breakfast, Dominic sat on a porch swing watching the sunset over Willowbrook. For the first time in years, no one wanted anything from him. No meetings, no crisis management, no pretense. Just the quiet of a small town and the memory of a mechanic's smile. Unexpected connections. 3 days into his unexpected stay in Willowbrook, Dominic found himself volunteering to pick up Lily from school, while Sophia handled an emergency transmission repair. The 8-year-old skipped beside him on the walk back, chattering about her science project. "We're building sustainable habitats," she explained, her small face serious beneath her baseball cap. "Mine's a tiny house that uses rainwater and solar power." Mom helped with the wiring. "Solar panels on a model house?" Dominic asked, impressed. "That's advanced for 3rd grade," Lily shrugged. "Mom says understanding how things work is important. She teaches me stuff most grown-ups don't know." At Chen's Auto, they found Sophia buried under paperwork, frustration etched on her face. She brightened at the sight of her daughter but couldn't hide her worry from Dominic's perceptive gaze. Later, after Lily went upstairs to finish homework, Sophia confessed over coffee. "The shop's struggling. Parts costs keep rising, and I can't raise prices too much or folks here can't afford repairs." "What about expanding?" Dominic suggested. "Specialized services that bring in clients from larger towns?" "With what capital?" Sophia laughed without humor. "Banks don't exactly line up to loan money to single moms in dying small towns." Dominic wanted to offer solutions, money, connections, resources, but something in her proud stance warned him against it. Instead, he offered something else: his time. The next day, he rolled up his sleeves and helped in the shop, learning the basics of auto repair under Sophia's patient instruction. Her surprise at his willingness to get his hands dirty gave way to genuine appreciation. "Not bad for a tech genius," she teased as he successfully changed his first oil filter. "I built my first computer at 13, he admitted. "Mechanical systems aren't so different, just bigger and messier." They worked side by side through the afternoon, a comfortable rhythm developing between them. When their hands accidentally touched over a tool, neither pulled away immediately. Their eyes met, and something electric passed between them. That evening, Sophia invited him to dinner at her place. After Lily went to bed, they sat on the porch swing with glasses of wine, talking under a canopy of stars brighter than any Dominic had seen in years. "How did you end up here?" he asked. "Running a garage in Willowbrook?" Sophia looked out at the darkness. "My father taught me everything about cars. When he died 5 years ago, the shop was failing. I'd just finished engineering school and had job offers from 3 different automotive companies. But you came back," she nodded. "Mom had passed the year before. Lily needed stability and—" she hesitated. "This town needed a mechanic. Sometimes the right choice isn't the easy one." Dominic thought about his own path, the relentless pursuit of success at any cost. "I admire that," he said softly, "having such clarity about what matters." "And what matters to Dominic Reed?" Sophia asked, turning to face him. Under her gaze, his usual answers, innovation, growth, excellence, felt hollow. Instead, he found himself saying, "I'm not sure anymore." The admission hung between them in the quiet night. Then Sophia's hand found his, warm and certain. When she kissed him, it felt like waking up from a long, dreamless sleep. Her lips were soft, her touch gentle yet confident. Dominic pulled her closer, breathing in the scent of lavender and motor oil that had become strangely intoxicating to him. When they parted, Sophia's amber eyes searched his face. "This probably isn't smart," she whispered. Dominic brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. "I've made a career of smart decisions," he replied. "Maybe it's time for something different." Part 4. Worlds Apart. The call came just after dawn on Dominic's 6th day in Willowbrook. James, his PR manager, sounded frantic. "Where the hell have you been? Victor's going public with accusations tomorrow. The board's calling an emergency meeting. You need to be here, Dom." Reality crashed back like a cold wave. Dominic glanced across the garage where Sophia was showing Lily how to use a torque wrench properly, both of them laughing. "I'll be there," he promised, ending the call. Telling Sophia was harder than he'd anticipated. They'd spent the past 2 nights together, talking until dawn, sharing gentle touches and passionate kisses, discovering each other with increasing intimacy. She'd opened up about her dreams for expanding the garage, her hopes for Lily's future. He'd confessed his fatigue with corporate games, his loneliness despite his success. Now, as they stood beside his partially repaired car, the distance between their worlds seemed insurmountable. "Of course you have to go," Sophia said, her voice steady, though her eyes betrayed her disappointment. "Your company needs you." "It's not just the company," Dominic explained. "Victor's allegations could destroy everything I've built, affect thousands of jobs." "I understand responsibility," she replied, crossing her arms. "I just thought—" she shook her head. "Never mind. It was a nice break from reality, right?" Her words stung because they echoed his own initial thoughts, that Willowbrook had been an escape, not a destination. But something had changed in the past week. "Something important. I'll come back," he promised. Sophia's smile didn't reach her eyes. "People like you don't come back to places like this." The drive back to New York felt like traveling between dimensions. Skyscrapers replaced rolling hills, honking horns drowned out birdsong, and the peaceful rhythm of Willowbrook gave way to Manhattan's relentless pulse. The next 48 hours were a blur of legal meetings, press statements, and confrontations. Dominic systematically dismantled Victor's allegations with evidence of his former partner's own embezzlement. By the second evening, Horizon Tech's stock had stabilized. Victor faced criminal charges, and the board unanimously backed Dominic. Victory felt hollow. In his penthouse apartment, surrounded by sleek furnishings and floor-to-ceiling views of the city, Dominic couldn't stop thinking about a farmhouse porch and the woman who had kissed him beneath the stars. He called Sophia that night. When she answered, he could hear classic rock playing in the background, the sounds of her closing up the shop. "Your car parts arrived," she said, her tone professional. "Should be ready by Friday." "I miss you," Dominic said instead of acknowledging the car. "And Lily, and even Willowbrook." Silence stretched between them. Finally, Sophia sighed. "We miss you too." "But Dom, we live in different worlds. You belong there with your company and your responsibilities. What if I want both? He asked quietly. People don't get everything they want, she replied, the pragmatism that had carried her through life's hardships evident in her voice. Even billionaires. After they hung up, Dominic stood at his window watching the city lights, feeling more alone than ever in the crowded metropolis. For the first time, he questioned whether success without happiness was success at all. Building new horizons. 3 weeks after returning to New York, Dominic's driver pulled onto the familiar gravel driveway of Chen's Auto Repair. The shop looked quiet, almost abandoned in the late afternoon sun. His heart sank until he spotted a familiar blue pickup truck parked around back. He found Sophia in her office, surrounded by paperwork and looking exhausted. She startled at his appearance in the doorway. "What are you doing here?" she asked, standing quickly. Dominic took a deep breath. Proposing a partnership, he placed a folder on her desk. Inside were architectural plans for an expanded garage facility, complete with a state-of-the-art diagnostic, center and training program. Horizon Tech is launching, a new division focused on sustainable vehicle technology, he explained, as Sophia flipped through the pages with widening eyes. We need a research and development facility away from the city. Somewhere real people use real vehicles in real conditions? And you picked Willowbrook? Skepticism colored her voice. I picked you, Dominic corrected. Your engineering background, your practical knowledge, your connection to this community, they're exactly what this project needs. The garage remains yours, but with resources to grow. The training center creates local jobs, and the R&D facility brings in revenue. Sophia studied him carefully. And what does Dominic Reed get out of this arrangement? He moved closer, close enough to smell her familiar lavender scent. A reason to come back. A chance to build something meaningful instead of just profitable. And maybe, he hesitated, a second chance with an extraordinary woman who reminds me what matters. Pretty elaborate scheme just to get a date, Sophia said, but a smile tugged at her lips. I'm not offering charity, Dominic assured her. This is sound business, but I'm not going to pretend my personal feelings aren't involved. Before she could respond, Lily burst through the door, freezing when she saw Dominic. Then her face lit up. You came back, she exclaimed, launching herself at him for a hug that caught him by surprise. Over Lily's head, Dominic's eyes met Sophia's. I came back, he affirmed quietly. Later that evening, after discussing the proposal in detail and picking up dinner from the local diner, they sat on Sophia's porch swing. Lily had gone inside to call her friend about the exciting developments. How would this work? Sophia asked finally. You living in New York, me here? Actually, Dominic said, I've rented the old Wilson house at the edge of town. 3-month lease with option to buy. Horizon has excellent video conferencing technology, and I've been training my COO to handle daily operations. Sophia's eyebrows rose. You're moving to Willowbrook? Part-time at first, he admitted. Building something sustainable takes time, in business and in relationships. Sophia took his hand, her strong fingers intertwining with his. No guarantees it'll work. No, he agreed. But some risks are worth taking. As the sun set over Willowbrook, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks, Sophia leaned against Dominic's shoulder. For what it's worth, she murmured. I'm glad you crashed your car. Dominic laughed, wrapping his arm around her. Best accident of my life. In the months that followed, Chen's Auto Repair transformed into the Chen Horizon Innovation Center. Locals who had initially viewed the development with suspicion were won over as jobs materialized, and Sophia remained firmly at the helm. Dominic split his time between New York and Willowbrook, finding that his creativity flourished in the small town's slower pace. And on quiet evenings, when business was done and Lily was asleep, Dominic and Sophia would sit on the porch swing, planning their future beneath the stars that had witnessed their beginning, a billionaire and a mechanic who had repaired much more than a broken-down car.